Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles True Crime Podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that's sad because he can't cook his alligator in a crock pot. It's Dale.
Looking for crocodiles, I reckon.
Yeah, that's it.
You're full of crocodile shit.
Yeah, they just won't. You just can't cook an alligator in a crock pot.
Can't get them in there, man.
What's going on, dude?
Oh, just another day.
Just another day recording?
Yeah, ready to get her going, and I think it's going to be a good one today.
Yeah, and like last episode, we were recording a day late.
Yes, we are.
We had a round of storms and tornado warnings last night, so we just put it off.
It was a little spooky, wasn't it?
It was a little ominous. Whatever ominous means.
Yeah, all in big words.
Yeah, ominous and, yeah.
And anyway, nothing major happened. A lot of rain, a lot of wind.
Yeah.
I don't think anything got destructed too much.
But phone was going off, everything was blasting.
I'm telling you, every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
Yeah, scary, really.
Yeah, and the old backwards warning system. I think it's backwards. There's a warning. Okay. What does that mean? It means there is one. Oh, I thought a watch means there is one. You better watch for it. Nope. The watch means there might be one.
Yeah.
Okay. Warning means there is one.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you just tell me there is one?
Yeah.
Instead of being confused.
Just say, tornado on the way.
Yeah. Grab your hat and run.
Mm-hmm. Tornadoes are favorable. That's what they need to change it to.
Yeah. They're not favorable to me. I don't favor them.
No, I don't favor them at all.
No, they're mean.
All right,
Tornadoes suck.
All right, Dale. We're going to not do the shout-outs this week. We want everyone to remember the school shooting that happened in Uvalde, Texas. Keep those family and everybody down there in Texas in your thoughts and prayers, man.
Yeah.
Robb Elementary School.
Yeah, it's just it's some bad stuff, man.
Yeah. It's just something I can't even comprehend. I mean, I listen to it, I see it on TV, but I just cannot. I can't get past it, man.
No,
just,
I was talking to my daughter about it yesterday, and she was like, I just don't understand what's going on. And I was like, well, whatever side of the fence you are on any of those issues, I said, nothing really, whether it was a bullying issue or this or that or whatever the reason the guy had in his head was, nothing, those kids didn't do anything. No. There's no, even though, and I know a lot of people, well, he was bullied, he was this, he was that, and I don't know because I really hadn't delved in it too much, but like I told her, I said, those kids didn't do anything to that guy, and there's no reason you get up, and if you're mad at somebody, you go somewhere and kill a bunch of small children. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
I really hate it, and I can't imagine what those parents are going through.
I hate it for all the families involved.
Right.
I just something I'll never want to experience.
No.
But everybody keep them in your thoughts and prayers and be thinking about them.
Right.
All right, dude. We're going to get into our episode. We're just going to jump into it and see how this goes.
Let's go.
But before we do it, I'm just going to tell you, with this episode, we're not clowning around.
Man.
No.
I like clowning around.
No, we're not going to clown around with this one.
Okay.
But with this episode, we are talking about Marleen Warren.
Marleen Warren.
Yes. And just a little bit of background on Marleen Warren. She was born Marlene May McKinnon.
Triple M.
Yeah. On April 15th, 1950 in Mount Clemens, Michigan. And Marlene, she was from the Michigan area around Detroit and stuff, and it's all been described as her being a happy girl, spending a lot of her youth with her grandparents on their farm. It was just north of Detroit, and she was the middle sister of two other sisters she had. Their names were Debbie and Leanne.
They didn't get to Triple M.
No, but she was the middle child. Now, Marlene's family, they moved around quite a bit and spending several years in California before returning to Michigan. And Marlene was an exceptionally young when she married her husband, John.
I would say so.
A guy named John Ahrens. And she was about 15 years old.
Yeah.
But she married John Ahrens and became a mom.
Right.
And she gave birth to her first son when she was just 15 years old.
I'd say that's why they got married.
Yeah. And by the time she was 18, she was a mother of 2 boys. That's a lot on your plate, man.
Yeah, especially for such young folks.
Yep. But Marlene and John just had their 2 sons.
Right.
John Jr. and Joseph. And they were just toddlers when tragedy struck. John was involved in a car crash in Texas, and he didn't make it.
Yeah, I think he was down there on a business trip and got into a pretty bad wreck.
Yeah. And Marlene was 20 years old and widowed.
Single mother and had 2 kids.
Man.
Talk about stacking it up.
Yeah. But Marlene, she didn't wait too long to start over. Just within a few years, she had met a man named Michael Warren. And they were married in 1972 when Marlene was 22 and Michael was 19. Just a little bit younger than her.
Yeah, and think about him coming in the early 70s and taking her and 2 kids on.
Yeah.
There's probably wasn't a big line for that, I'd say.
Yeah. But now the Warrens, they lived for just a short time in Michael's hometown of Mount Clemens, Michigan. It was, like I said, it was a suburb of Detroit.
Right.
And they decided to relocate to Florida to raise the boys. So they bought a home in Palm Beach County. And they lived in it for a while and sold it for a profit, made a little bit of money on it, and did the same to their next home and the next. So they were just, I guess,
They were flipping houses, yeah. They'd go into it and live there long enough to where they could sell it and make some cash, which is pretty smart.
That is smart.
If you got the time, why not?
Mm-hmm. But they also started buying land and building rental properties, and eventually amassing 17 throughout the county, 17 rental properties.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so they were doing pretty well for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Marlene managed and maintained all the rental properties while Michael built up a business of selling and renting used cars.
Right.
So they were just in all kinds of businesses going on.
He just kept reinvesting in themselves, huh?
Yep. Now, by the late 1980s, the Warrens' businesses were starting to pay off, Dale. They bought an acre of land in a new exclusive community in Wellington, Florida.
And
it
is
was
this established by Beef Wellington?
No, it's Wellington.
Okay.
Yeah, you've been talking about Beef Wellington ever since we started researching this case.
I think the dude's name was Oliver or something who actually established this community. But
he's the brother of Beef Wellington.
Yeah.
But this community in Wellington was called the Aero Club.
How cool is this?
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And they built a 6,500 square foot home there.
They weren't playing either.
And they weren't messing around.
Even though nowadays that house is probably not that big.
Yeah.
In the same community.
But now then it was pretty awesome.
Well, to me now it's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the homes are spacious. Most of them got circular driveways, swimming pools, and very meticulous landscaping.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Aero Club, Dale, it gets its name from a very unique feature there.
What is that?
It has a private airstrip for its residences.
I know, man. That's what I need, so I can just get in my plane and, just drive out the back drive and hit the runway and go.
Now, get this. It has taxiways that lead to each home around it. So they got their own private airstrip, man.
Yeah, you got to run to Walmart, just jump in the plane and go.
And the Warrens, they lived on one of them.
Right.
And it was called Takeoff Place.
Takeoff Place.
And the lot had plenty of space to park Michael's airplane.
I tell you what, you're doing pretty damn well when you have to drive your airplane to work.
Yeah.
Wherever you go with it.
That's right. But now Michael's used car business was doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And despite some legal problems in the early 1980s, much larger issues would come years later.
Yeah, he was a little shady.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that too.
Uh-huh.
Now, in the spring of 1983, Michael had been caught rolling back odometers.
Just like Ferris Bueller.
Yep. Prop it up on blocks and put it in reverse.
Run them backwards.
Yeah. But he got caught doing this on 2 cars he had sold when a customer turned him in to the authorities. And Michael was charged with a 3rd-degree felony. And he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 months of probation.
Right.
So he got off light.
Yeah.
Yeah. But by 1990, business was strong enough for Michael to open a bigger lot called Bargain Motors. And it was along the busy highway of North Dixie Highway in West Palm Beach. So they were doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he employed there a crew of mechanics, salespeople, car detailers, office workers, and repo men who went after customers who didn't pay.
Yeah.
So I guess what they did, these
It's a buy here, pay here.
And they had
Got a lot.
Probably had a high interest rate, and
It was probably a weekly, probably paid by the week, and it was pretty high. And then they probably have a missed 2 payments when we come and get it kind of deal.
yeah, so that's why they
'Cause,
hired repo people.
Yeah, it'd be a high rates, buy here, pay here, and it'd be for folks who couldn't get credit or others at other places. Here they would definitely sell you a car, but just so you know, if you don't pay for it, we coming to get it.
Yep. Now, one day, one of his occasional repo men showed up at Bargain Motors in a tow truck, and he was known by the name of Spud, and he was a longtime friend of Michael's.
Right, hope Spud.
Yeah. And on this visit, he brought his wife along,
Okay.
and she jumped out of the truck and onto the lot and into Michael's life. And her name was Sheila King.
Sheila King.
Yep. Now, just a little bit on Sheila King. She was a pretty striking brunette with long, glossy hair. She had that long, like, parted in the middle hair.
Crystal Gale hair, just not quite as long.
Yeah. She was described as headstrong, gun-toting, and independent 26-year-old.
Gun-toting.
Yeah. With a game for anything, reputation, and mischief in her big brown eyes. I mean, she had some striking big brown eyes that we're going to talk about.
Right.
And Sheila spent more and more time on Michael's lot, and she was soon repossessing cars of her own. And she was described as fearless and tough as nails.
I guess so.
And she had no problems of jumping into a flatbed truck and going and picking up a car in the roughest neighborhood.
I don't know if I want to do that.
No.
Check somebody's car.
The more time she spent on Michael's lot, the more responsibilities and duties she had. And she was pretty much running the place.
So she just kind of slid in and took over, basically, is
Yeah.
what's going on here.
But Sheila's attention of it all went toward one person.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was Michael Warren.
Yeah, she's hot for the boss.
Yeah. And Michael clearly had feelings for Sheila, too. And she had a stark contrast to Michael's wife.
Yeah. Marlene, she was blonde-headed, blue-eyed.
And we're going to show pictures of her, but she was kind of, wasn't as striking as Sheila.
Well, I don't know. Depending on the pictures, I guess.
Now, Michael's relationship with Sheila was evolving into an affair, as everybody has described. We're going to move ahead to a Saturday morning of Memorial Day weekend in 1990.
Okay.
40-year-old Marleen Warren was at home on her property in Wellington, Florida.
He was going to say she just sprawled out with
Yeah. Now, Marlene's 21-year-old son, Joey Aarons, was home, and they were finishing up breakfast with his friends. He had several friends over that day because he'd been in a wreck, and he had a broken foot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was just before 11 a.m. when a white Chrysler LeBaron convertible pulled up into the driveway, and the driver stepped out, walked to the front door, and knocked. Now, Marleen answered the door, still dressed in her pink nightgown, and Joey and his friends, they were sort of standing off the side, and he heard her exclaimed, I've heard it different ways, Dale.
Yeah.
Some people said it was, how nice, how pretty, how sweet.
Right.
But it was something to that effect.
Yeah.
But it was the person at the door was a clown in full costume, including a orange curly wig, white painted face, and a red nose.
Right.
And
Except they had on camouflage.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
And high top shoes.
Yeah.
But this clown was holding a delivery of balloons and flowers.
Right. It was 2 of those like Mylar. Is Mylar or the metal looking ones?
Yeah.
And one of them was a heart shape and said "You're the greatest," and the other one had some kind of print from Snow White and 7 Dwarfs on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some flowers.
Yeah. The flower arrangement was carnations, white and red carnations.
In a little white basket.
Mm-hmm.
Very cute.
And as the clown handed Marlene the delivery, they pulled out a gun.
Yep.
Aimed it point blank at Marlene's face.
And shot her in the face.
Yeah, point blank range.
Man.
And her son Joey heard the shot, and he thought that it was a balloon that popped. But he saw his mother fall to the floor, and he rushed over to the doorway.
It'd have to be a hell of a balloon to pop like a gunshot.
Yeah, and Marlene was bleeding heavily from her face.
Mm.
And Joey has his friends call for help. And Joey looked up at the clown walking away. And the clown just sort of paused and...
Just kind of sashayed down the driveway, didn't he?
Yeah, wasn't running, just sort of walking back to the car.
Right.
And the clown turned to look at him.
Yep.
And just long enough for Joey to see the big brown eyes staring back at him. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, well, think about it. Somebody knocks on the door and you open and it's a clown. First of all, are you going to be freaked out or are you going to go, what the hell? And then they got flowers and stuff, so it seemed like a singing telegram or something, or, because it's not your birthday or nothing. So you go, okay, this is cool. And the next thing you know, pull up a gun and shoot you right in the face.
But just a little bit of background story on Marlene. Her parents had said that from an early age, she was fascinated with clowns. Mm-hmm. And she'd had paintings she'd done of clowns. So, I don't know. We're going to try to tie all this together in a little bit and find out if there's any connection to any of this.
It's pretty wild, though.
But the clown just sort of, like you said, sashayed back to the Chrysler LeBaron and got in it and drove off.
Yeah.
Wasn't running. I mean, if I was going to shoot somebody, I'd run.
Right.
But they didn't. They just casually walked back to the car.
Right. No big deal.
Yeah. But Joey jumped in his own car with one of his friends and tried to chase down the LeBaron, but it was too late, and the clown got away.
Yep.
I guess him having a cast on his foot sort of
slowed him down.
Slowed him down a little bit. Now, there was an ambulance that arrived at the home as paramedics worked frantically to try to save Marlene.
Yeah.
And the bullet had entered just above her upper lip, broke through her front teeth, and traveled to the back of her head, where it lodged in the vertebrae.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And they rushed her to Palms West Hospital, where doctors put her on life support. But Marlene never really had a chance, and she died 2 days later.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, while all this was happening, Dale, Michael Warren, Marlene's husband, was on his way with some friends to a horse track in Miami. I think they were going to look at a racehorse.
Mm-hmm.
And when Joey Aarons called him with the news about Marlene's shooting, and he turned around and headed back for the hospital, where he told the police he had no idea who could do this to his wife.
Crazy.
Yeah. And the media jumped all over this terrifying story, and it became national news.
Well, I guess so.
Yep.
I mean, damn. How often does this happen,
Yeah. I mean, you just don't hear of a clown coming up to your door and shooting somebody in the face. Now, within 2 hours of the Marlene getting hit in the face with a bullet, a call came into police that would sort of focus the investigation close to home. And there was an anonymous female caller that said, "You might want to ask Michael Warren and Sheila Keene a few questions." Then they hung up.
Wow.
And
now, they're going to look at him anyway, because that's just procedure. But now it's got a big reason going. Wonder why they would call in and tell us this and just hang up.
Mm-hmm.
No one didn't elaborate at all.
Marlene's murder led to an extraordinary and baffling murder investigation that led police through all kinds of areas and throughout Florida. And they were encountering accusations of loan sharking, drug smuggling,
drug dealing, insurance fraud, chop shops,
stolen cars, prostitutes, and seedy affairs, and you name it. Now, Michael Warren, he told police that he didn't know anybody that would own a car like a Chrysler LeBaron convertible that the clown used on the day of the murder.
Right.
And his car lot only had Chevrolets. That's what he said.
Bargain Motors only dealt with Chevrolet?
That's what he said. But Michael's biggest competitor nearby was a rental place called Payless Rent-A-Car. But they did have Chrysler LeBarons. And just 12 hours after Marlene was shot, another anonymous tip came to police.
I wonder who this is calling. We don't know anything about this, do we?
No.
Okay.
And the caller said that a white Chrysler LeBaron had been stolen from Payless just 2 weeks earlier in a case that was linked to Bargain Motors. And a couple visiting from out of town had rented a LeBaron from Payless. Like I said, this Payless was right next door to Michael's shop, and they were a competitor. And they called a number they found on an ad in a telephone book to get instructions on how to return the car.
Right.
But they unknowingly called Bargain Motors instead. They didn't call Payless. They called Bargain Motors. This was Michael's lot.
Yes.
And the person who answered the call told the couple to leave the car outside the gate to Payless with the keys in the sun visor.
Right.
So they did. And later, they had second thoughts about leaving it and returned to Payless, but the LeBaron was gone.
Now, if you see the ad, you can see why they would call the wrong place, because I think Michael actually got in trouble for that ad. It says Bargain Auto Rentals across the top, and then it says pay less.
Yeah, because that was smart and dumb.
Yeah.
Now, police discovered that Payless had recently sued, like Dale said, Bargain Motors over the phone book ad.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As its title, Payless, in smaller letters, were written, a Bargain Auto Rentals. And the Payless lawsuit said that Bargain Motors' ad was deceptive, and Bargain was ordered to pay $35,000.
Yep.
And an employee at Bargain Motors told detectives that Michael Warren stole 3 cars as payback for the lawsuit, and the LeBaron was one of them. Yeah. And the employee said he drove Michael and Sheila to Payless and watched Michael get into the LeBaron and take the keys from the sun visor and drive off.
Now, see, that don't make sense to me. I mean, I don't know exactly how close these two places work together.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you were going to steal the car or take the car, why not have her drive you over there and get the car? Why involve a third party?
Exactly. That's
stupid.
Yeah, that's somebody that's going to tell on you.
Yeah. You know, more people know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But the day before Marlene's funeral, the stolen LeBaron was found.
In the Winn-Dixie parking lot.
Yep. Where an employee reported it as abandoned.
Right. You know, Winn-Dixie is a grocery store.
Yeah. But police did trace the car to Payless Rent-A-Car.
Right.
And when they searched the LeBaron, they found curly orange fibers, possibly from a wig, on the front passenger seat, back seat, and inside the driver's door. And they also found several strands of long brown hair. And they announced they found the killer's clown car.
The killer's clown car.
Yeah, the killer's clown car. Now, investigators also had leads on the balloons, flowers the killer had brought to Marlene's door, as well as the clown suit, Dale.
Okay.
2 employees at a Publix grocery store, this was about a half a mile from Sheila Keene's apartment, said a woman purchased a Memorial Day arrangement of flowers, red and white carnations, in a white basket. And she also bought 2 foil balloons. And it was less than 90 minutes before Marlene's murder.
So it don't seem like somebody's planning this out too well.
No, it don't.
Just going to go right here to the store.
And then the owner of the costume shop in West Palm Beach, Florida, told police that a woman came into the store the Thursday before the shooting to purchase a clown suit. And I've heard that the woman came there after closing time and begged them to open the door so she could come in and buy a clown outfit.
Right.
But she chose the cheapest one in the shop. And it was a candy pink and yellow suit with an orange wig and red foam nose. And she told them a woman would be wearing the costume and needed extra white paint enough to cover the entire face.
Well, duh.
Yep. And it said it cost $36.50, and the woman paid with $20 bills.
So I remembered a lot about them.
Very, very. I guess. I mean, how often does somebody come in after hours and buy a clown outfit?
Well, yeah, they just kind of odd to come in and then say, you know, let me in so I can buy this.
Yep.
Should have went during the middle of the day and nonchalantly bought something else, but they didn't.
But the employees from Publix and the costume shop, they all identified Sheila Keene from a photo lineup as the customer who bought the flowers, balloons, and clown suit. So that's pretty damning right there. After the clown's getaway car was found at the Winn-Dixie grocery store, detectives obtained a search warrant for Sheila Keene's apartment. And they collected shoes, t-shirts, jackets, as well as a hairbrush, a bathroom trash bag, and a full vacuum cleaner bag. They wasn't messing around.
No.
And a police report also showed they found synthetic orange fibers.
Well, now.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
Starting to build something here.
Yep, and Sheila refused to cooperate without a lawyer. And Michael Warren also had stopped talking to investigators and hired a lawyer. And the next day, as Marlene was laid to rest, investigators watched her funeral from a van. And one detective conducted video surveillance while an agent from an organized crime bureau photographed funeral guests with a camera. So they wasn't messing around either.
No. Paying attention.
Yep. Now, while investigating Marleen Warren's murder, police discovered illegal activity going on at Michael Warren's lot. And that's like we talked about. Police learned that Michael had been overcharging customers on insurance. And like I said, he had also been rolling back odometers on rental cars to cover warranties.
Yep.
And on used cars so he could charge more money. On October the 25th of 1990, an arrest warrant was issued for Michael Warren and two of his employees, 21-year-old twins named Ronald and Donald Carter.
Ronald and Donald.
Yep. Now, investigators raided Bargain Motors that night, and they took away filing cabinets with business transactions, and they combed the lot for evidence of stolen vehicles. And they also arrested Ronald Carter at the lot, but his brother wasn't there, and neither was Michael. But the next day, he turned himself into the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. And get this, the state charged him with 66 felonies on counts of racketeering, grand theft, conspiring to commit grand theft, operating a chop shop, and dealing in stolen property.
Damn.
Yeah.
No wonder he's making all this money.
Yeah. And it took years for the case against Michael to wind through the court system. And meanwhile, police received reports that he vacationed in the Bahamas with Sheila Keene, and that he was possibly scheming about how to disappear.
Yeah. It ain't looking good.
No, he's not a good dude. In July of 1992, his trial finally got underway, and it took 2 weeks as prosecutors made the case that Michael was duping customers and insurance companies for financial gain.
Yeah, he might could have got away with it just doing the customers, but them insurance companies ain't playing.
I think he's just getting too greedy.
Yeah, seems like it.
And Michael's lawyer argued that discrepancies in miles on car rental and sales agreements were just the result of sloppy record keeping.
Yeah, but when they look back at his history, they'll say, we don't think so.
But the jury convicted Michael on 1 count of racketeering and 21 counts of odometer fraud.
Look at there.
11 counts of grand theft and 10 counts of petty theft. And he was sentenced to 9 years in prison. Now, Michael served out his prison time in South Florida, majority in a minimum security work camp in Homestead. This is just south of Miami, where he had a spotless prison record. And after 4 years, he was released early for good behavior.
Right. So he only had to serve 4 years.
4 years of the 9, yeah.
Right.
And he was paroled on New Year's Eve in 1997.
Just in time for a party.
Yeah. And he walked out of prison into a fresh new life.
Right.
But now, Dale, while Michael was in prison, the police hadn't forgot about Sheila, and they could not find enough evidence to pin the murder of Marlene on her. They just couldn't have enough evidence. And the case went cold on Marlene.
Well, they had a lot of evidence, but they kept saying it was all circumstantial. But, you know, I mean, they had the fibers in the car, fibers in her house, you know, and in the hair they had too. You know, I guess a lot of that was pre-DNA stuff, or it was really early in the DNA stuff. And then, but, you know, they also found fibers in the soles of those shoes that they found in her house.
Yeah.
So that would be another thing. You'd think a lot of this would be enough to do something, but I guess when they're going to try to get her for first degree murder or whatever, at least something like that, you have to have a really good case, and a couple fibers ain't going to do it. So I think that's basically all they could find, right? Because the clown suit and the gun or none of that stuff was ever found.
Yeah.
You know, and there was rumors about them having an affair, but both of them always denied it. You know, and even I think Marlene had even told her mom, if anything ever happens to me, you better look at Mike, because, you know, she thought they were having an affair too, and you know, she knew that he would be just broke if they split up, because I think everything was in her name.
And he wasn't spending a lot of time at home either.
No, you know, and all the businesses, the house, I think everything was in her name.
Yeah.
For one reason or another, I'm not sure why, but yeah, so. I mean, if they split up, he would be busted. Yeah. You know, so that's another thing. But, yeah, I just don't think they ever had enough hard evidence to really go forth on an indictment. But
I'd heard, too, that, you know, she had all this stuff, all these businesses and stuff, and they said that she'd had a pretty large insurance policy, but I couldn't find anything where it was a very large insurance policy. It was like $50,000, $53,000.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. 53.
Yeah.
For some, well, that's an odd number, but you know.
Yeah, still, then in the 90s, that wouldn't be a life-changing money.
No, definitely. So I don't think, I don't think it was done solely so he could cash in the life thing, or life insurance or whatever.
I think it was the businesses all in her name.
Yeah.
Because if Eddie got divorced, I mean, he would have lost it all.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Even by this time, so I don't think she would have cared if he left, but he definitely wasn't getting anything.
Yeah.
Right.
But now, Michael was out of prison, and on August the 15th of 2002, him and Sheila got married.
Right.
They got married in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
And Sheila changed her name. She started going by Debbie.
Yeah, I don't think she changed it. She just started saying, "I'm Debbie."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't look at my license, but I'm Debbie.
But they were living in eastern Tennessee. And they opened up a fast food drive-in or drive-through called the Purple Cow.
A little burger joint.
Yeah, burger joint.
Subs and burgers in the Purple Cow.
Mm-hmm. And it was on Lee Highway there in eastern Tennessee. Now, Mike and Debbie, who was Sheila, they were hard workers for at least a decade and a half. They pulled a 6-day work week to make burgers and make it successful.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived 45 minutes from the Purple Cow over the state line in Abington, Virginia.
So they drove 45 minutes to work every day.
Yeah. And the town is tucked in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it's a little community where the oldest buildings date back to 1779.
So they just kind of like slid off to Vegas and got married, and then came back, and then far away from where they lived, started a business here.
Yeah,
just kind of under the radar kind of thing.
Yeah. But there they lived in a massive custom-built mansion with a steep circular driveway, concrete fountain, and a boat dock out front.
They must have sold a damn bunch of hamburgers.
They must have. And it was in a tight-knit Heron Point development. It's a community where neighbors sort of buzz around on golf carts and stop to chat when they see each other. It's just,
right.
Yeah, that kind of neighborhood.
Yeah.
And there it was described that Mike and Debbie / Sheila were a warm, quick to laugh, just a happy-go-lucky couple. And they even shared a Facebook page.
Oh,
Ain't that sweet?
yeah.
But nobody there in the neighborhood knew about their past. And nobody knew that they came from Florida and that Michael had spent time in jail. And that his first wife had been murdered. Nobody knew this stuff.
And Debbie was not Debbie.
No, they had no idea.
Right. Well, if somebody's coming in this kind of neighborhood and they buy that big ass house, like, well, these folks got some money. You don't really think all this wild background went on,
Mm-hmm. One early evening in September of 2017, Michael and Debbie, they were driving home to Abington, Virginia, to visit Debbie's mother in Vermont. And Michael drove their black Cadillac SUV. I think it was an Escalade.
Yes.
It was a long and winding road, and they were about 5 minutes from home when the police car pulled him over.
Yep.
And a deputy walks up to Michael's driver's side window and tells him he has an arrest warrant for Sheila Keene Warren.
Well, I think he would go up and ask to see his driver's license, and then when he seen who he was, he walked around on the other side.
Yeah.
He'd seen hers, and then they knew he had her right then.
Yeah.
But the reason they were onto him is they got a grant in the cold case files to pay for stuff, so they started going back through all this stuff in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when they started realizing what's going on here, because hell, they go back. There's probably now, if you look at the evidence with the DNA and stuff, it's a lot more a stronger case than what they had then.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there is no statute of limitations on murder. So
Yeah, but they had a warrant for her arrest.
oh yeah, we got you now.
What put Sheila Keene behind bars were her hair and blood samples that were collected decades earlier.
Oh yeah.
The DNA testing caught up with her.
Right.
And in 2013, investigators used like Dale said, a grant to form the cold case to solve this murder of Marleen Warren. And earlier DNA tests had been inconclusive.
Which is weird, man. How was it?
How could they not test the hair fibers or the hair follicle?
Right. And how can it be inconclusive?
Yeah.
It's usually, DNA is either it is or it isn't. There's
Yeah.
not much.
But new tests produced enough evidence for prosecutors to charge Sheila. But she pled not guilty, and prosecutors announced that they would seek the death penalty against her.
So really, all they got on her is a couple hair fibers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because
But
there was no blood at the scene, just Marlene's.
And it hadn't been reported what they collected from the Chrysler LeBaron, if they got fingerprints or anything like that.
I think they got some hair, some brown hair, and some resources said under the floor mat, which is be weird to me. But I could see some being around. But you would think she'd have her hair put up in the wig on, you wouldn't lose a lot of hair. But who knows? She might have jerked the wig off in the car. I don't know.
All right, now Dale, Sheila is currently awaiting trial, but her attorney stated that she denies murdering Marlene.
Right.
And Sheila's attorney filed a motion for an order to postpone Sheila's trial.
Right.
And her trial was scheduled to start on the 8th of September of 2021.
Right. Well, they arrested her in 2017.
Yeah.
And then that was dragging along, and then COVID came in, which made it that much longer. And they filed to try to get her out on a bond because there was no bond, but that was denied too. So she just sitting in jail.
They even had a hearing that her son came to the hearing and stated that she could live with him.
Right.
But they didn't. She was too much of a flight risk.
Yeah.
She had means to too much money.
Right.
To be able to get out on bond. But now the court said they needed more time to prepare her case, and they argued that as the murder happened so long ago, it had been difficult to gather all the evidence and take depositions with the prosecution's witnesses.
Right. So you think about it, it would be hard to find witnesses now. It's been so long. It's been 27 years to the time she was arrested.
Mm-hmm. Especially back then, people coming and going from like Bargain Motors and saying that they saw them together or didn't see them together and things like that. The only thing that would convict her, make it solid, is the DNA.
Yeah.
Putting her in that car, and especially the eyewitness testimony of the shop owners from the costume store and the Publix.
Right.
If they can nail those down.
And I think a lot of what postponed it earlier on is, they were dead set on going for the death penalty for this, and it'd be hard to give somebody a death penalty over orange fiber.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's kind of hard to go that. So, I don't know, but now it might be a lot different, because now they got the DNA, but it still doesn't prove she shot her unless they just feel your hair's there.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't in the house. Did find it in the car.
Yeah.
But they had already said, the guy from his business said, he dropped him off, so they know they was in the car.
Yeah.
So they can't say that there's no date stamp on it when your hair was in the car. So,
That's true.
So that's circumstantial too,
Yeah. It could have been there from anything.
Right. So maybe that's the reason they brought it in the third party. Well, I dropped him off. I did see him get in that car, so sure your hair will be going to be in it.
Yeah. But now Sheila was scheduled to go on trial for first-degree murder on the 21st of March of 2022, this year.
Mm-hmm.
And she initially faced the possibility of death if a jury found her guilty, but prosecutors told a judge they would not be seeking the death penalty. So they just trying to do anything to get a conviction, or
right?
Bring it to trial.
And Marlene's son, the one that chased her down, actually, his testimony was that they saw it was a very tall man from 6 to 6 foot tall.
Yeah,
the clown.
He actually thought it was a man.
Yeah, could have been a man. We don't know.
Mm-mm.
And the other witnesses said they really couldn't tell the gender of the clown. They couldn't tell. They just thought it was a tall, very tall. I don't think she's 6'2".
No,
but I don't know. There's a lot of circumstantial stuff going on there. I mean, she probably did it. I mean, I don't know, but
yeah, it's very possible she did it, but I think it'd be hard to prove.
Yeah.
After all these years.
Just in May 18th this year.
That was just a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago from recording this.
Right. Said that the trial had been delayed again for the 6th time, and prosecutors agreed to give the defense a little more time to contact witnesses and stuff, So here it is again. Now it's been over 30 years now since it happened, and so it's still delaying.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess they're just trying to put stuff together, but it's probably hard to run down people and evidence, and
I guess they want to make sure they get all their ducks in a row before they take this to trial to get a conviction.
Yeah, and I just wonder how much stuff they had, like boxed up from before. If they had, tapes or just written stuff or what.
Yeah. But what's crazy is Sheila has been waiting in jail all this time for a trial.
Yeah, since 2017.
Yeah.
Right.
And when she and Mike got married and moved to Virginia, she had dyed her hair from brown to blonde. She went blonde. And now you can see pictures of her, going into hearings and things, and her brown hair has grown out, but the ends of it are still blonde.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy, man.
Right. So we don't know what's going to happen here, and this is another one. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's a hell of a story.
It'll be interesting when all this goes to trial.
Yeah.
What happens?
Most definitely.
Yeah. But that is the case of Marleen Warren, the murder of Marleen Warren, and hopefully justice will be taken care of.
Right. So I mean, I don't know which way it's going to go because, like I said, it's just pretty strange. I mean, there's not a whole lot to go on here.
It looks like Sheila King, but we don't know.
Right.
But Mike hadn't been charged with anything in connection to Marlene's murder.
No, he's still living in the house in Virginia, I believe.
Yes.
Living it up.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, honey.
Turning back odometers.
Yeah. Clowning around.
All right, Dale. We are going to get out of here.
All right, man. Let's do it.
We want everyone to be safe, be careful, and always be aware of your surroundings and look out for clowns.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is
the Crack House Chronicles.